Zoey and Sassafras, Dragons and Marshmallows, Chapter 2. Chapter 2, The Mystery Photo. Sassafras and I burst into my mom's office. She jumped and quickly hid the photo under a pile of papers before smiling at us. Mom, Sassafras found 1 billion roly-polies under a rock in our yard, and I wasn't sure what to do with them, but then I used my thinking goggles, and we made a circus with a tightrope and everything. Can you come see, please? That sounds wonderful, Zoey. I'm almost finished getting ready for this trip. Give me 5 more minutes. I shrugged and leaned on her desk. While Sassafras wove through my legs, I was trying to act like I didn't mind her leaving for a trip, but maybe I felt a little nervous about not seeing her for a whole week. I was also curious about that photo she'd stashed away so quickly. As she packed, I poked at her papers and scooched them around. Whoa! What was that? A purple glow came from under a pile of papers. I pushed the top papers aside and gasped. In the photo was my mom when she was around my age. She was grinning with 2 missing teeth, with a purple frog on her head that was glowing. I almost dropped the photo. Mom glanced over her shoulder. What is it? I held out the photo with a trembling hand. This photo? The frog? It's glowing. How? My mom spun around so fast that some of the papers she was holding fell and scattered on the ground. You see Pip? Pip? Who was Pip? What on earth was going on? Chapter 3. Pip. Mom was still frozen in place. She whispered, I never thought. I was so sure I was the only one. She finally snapped out of it and sat down at her desk. Sorry for acting strange. Come sit and I'll try to explain. Mom shook her head once more and smiled at me. I sat down slowly. I was super confused. A glowing frog? That only my mom could see? My stomach flipped and flopped. I picked up Sassafras and gave him a squeeze. He settled into my lap and purred, which calmed me down a little. I seriously hoped that all of this would start making sense soon. Remember how this used to be Grandma and Grandpa's house? I nodded. I nodded slowly and kept petting Sassafras as my heart thumped loudly. When I was your age, I also spent hours wandering in the forest. One day I was tossing rocks into the stream when I saw something shimmer in the sunlight. The purple frog? I guessed. Mom nodded. His bright purple skin was covered head to toe with neon orange spots. I'd never seen anything like it. I was sure I'd discovered a new species. I nodded again. I love frogs, and I'd never seen a frog that looked like that. The poor thing was crumpled on the ground, barely breathing. I knew it must be very sick or hurt. I had to help it. Oops. I carefully scooped it up and held it close. I found an old empty fish tank in our barn and got to work figuring out what was wrong. Books helped a little, but I needed to run some simple experiments too. I used what I learned from the experiments to help the frog recover. Once he was better, I knew I had to return him to the forest. I reached into his tank and he hopped right into my hand. As I lifted him out, something incredible happened. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I could tell my mom was about to say something big. My mom is a scientist, so she sees crazy things all the time. If this was the craziest thing she'd ever seen, then it must be incredible. I leaned in, scooting so far forward that Sassafras slid to the ground with a whoomp. I quickly scooped him back up. What happened? What did you see? The frog looked me in the eye, smiled, and said, "Thank you." I clapped my hand over my mouth. What is going on? Was my mom playing a joke on me? She seemed pretty serious, but a talking frog? Really? It just couldn't be true. I was so shocked, my mom continued. I almost tossed the poor frog into the air. "Whoa," he said. "Steady there, little girl. Don't be afraid. My name is Pip, and I am so grateful for all of your help." Here I had to interrupt. "But Mom, this is crazy. Frogs can't talk." Mom patted my knee. "That's what I thought at first too, but the frog kept on talking. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't imagining things. There really was a frog named Pip talking to me." My hand shook so much that I set Pip on a table for his own safety. He told me he'd been out past dark looking for something he'd dropped during the day. An owl attacked him. He was terrified and hurt, but managed to escape. He didn't remember anything after that until he woke up in our barn. Once I recovered from the shock of it all, Pip told me that there are lots of magical animals in our forests. Humans can't usually see them. He asked if I'd help others like him who were hurt or sick. I agreed, of course. Pip spread the word about me in the barn after he left, and I've been helping the magical animals of our forest ever since. A big smile spread across my face. This was incredible. The only thing I might love more than science is magic. And my mom was telling me there was magic right there in our own backyard. Chapter 4. The Doorbell. I was so excited and had so many questions. Why is purple light coming out of the photo? Because of the magic? And how come I've never seen any of the magical creatures? They do still come here, right? Where do you keep them? Are there some here now? Mom laughed. Phew. Okay, let's see here. Yes, the photo glows because of the magic. Anytime you photograph a magical creature, some of the magic stays in the photo. When the magical animal does need my help, I keep it in our barn. And finally, no, there aren't any magical animals here right now. Sometimes no one needs my help for weeks at a time. This will all make more sense once I've shown you the barn. Come on. As Mom and I walked out to the barn together, I laughed to myself. I never played there because I thought it was super boring. Boy, was I wrong. Mom led me around to the back door of the barn. Before he left for the forest, Pip added a special doorbell to our barn's back door. I thought I was the only one in the family who could see it, but I'm guessing you'll be able to see it too. Sassafras interrupted my mom by meowing loudly. Mom laughed. Oh yes, I should add that clever animals like Sassafras can see it as well. I knelt down and looked all over the back wall of the barn, but I don't see anything. Try lying down on your stomach. Now a little to the left, and down just a tiny bit. Do you see it? The grass tickled my neck as I lowered my head a little more. All of a sudden, I could see a round button. It looked like a regular doorbell, except this one shimmered in a wave of rainbow colors. I moved my head up a bit, and it disappeared. Whoa, no wonder I'd never noticed this before. Although now that I thought about it, I might have at least heard it before. Every once in a while, the most beautiful tinkling sound would come from my mom's office. She was She always told me it was an alarm on her phone reminding her to do something. I guess I never thought to ask what. The bell that rings in our house that bell that rings sometimes that bell that rings in our house sometimes, is that the barn doorbell? Yes, that's it. I never know when I'll hear the bell, but whenever I'm home, I'm always listening. What about when you're gone? What happens then? Well, all I can do is hope that I'm here when the bell rings and an animal needs me. I remembered my mom standing in the window looking out at the barn. She must have been worried about what would happen while she was gone at this conference. Maybe I could help. You're going to be gone for a week. That's a long time. If an animal rings the bell while you're gone, do you think maybe I could help them? I looked down at my feet and poked the ground with my toe. I mean, I know I'm just a kid, but I could try. My mom smiled. I was hoping you'd suggest that. Are you sure? It might be a lot to handle, though you could always call me if you needed help. I nodded and stood up a little straighter. Mom put her hands on my shoulders and kissed my forehead. Now I won't have to worry while I'm gone. Thank you. My stomach did flips. On one hand, I was super excited to meet a magical animal. On the other hand, I was worried that I wouldn't know what to do. I didn't want to mess up. But my mom was my age when she helped Pip. A kid had done this alone before, which meant I could handle it, right? Chapter 5, The Barn. And I'm going to stop right there.